Hi, I'm Kirk Newcomb, and welcome to another edition of In Good Company. Recently, we had a television celebrity in Jackson. His name is Walt Willey, but he's better known as Jackson Montgomery in the ABC soap opera All My Children. When he's not performing on All My Children, he spends a lot of time touring comedy clubs and performing his stand-up routine. He recently performed at South Street Comedy Club in Jackson. We caught his act at the club, and he was funny, very funny. We were able to talk with him before he went on stage. Here are some of the thoughts he shared with us.
How in the world did you get involved in show business, at least to the extent that you're in now?
Well, of course, there's the meet girls factor, which was a pretty strong one. I was, I did a bit in high school and in college. And then I was director of sales administration for a manufacturing company very close to where I went to school. And I got a call from a guy who had been a student when I was there, who was now part of the faculty. That's how much time had gone by. A tenured part of the faculty, and asked me if I wanted to read for a certain role. They were having a hard time casting. I said yes. I went and read for it. And in the next 2 years, I guess I did like 8 shows with the university there, and turned 30, and thought, gee, this is kind of fun. I'm doing pretty well. The reviews were good. Maybe I should give this a try and not turn 40 and wonder what if. So I moved from Southern Illinois out to New York, and that was in 81, I guess, or so. And 4 years later, I was on my first daytime contract on Another World, and I went to Ryan's Hope and then to All My Children.
How do you go from soap opera to stand-up comedy?
Very carefully.
I'm sure besides the airplane.
Obviously,
and
very
weekend.
carefully. Yeah, exactly. I've had done a lot of Second City kind of stuff, a lot of improvisational acting and improvisational comedy, and I was always fascinated by it. I remember when I was a kid hiding my Red Fox records so nobody would find them and burn them, which is what probably would have happened. I think I was always fascinated by it. I always loved Ed Sullivan when those old Borscht Bell guys came on, Shecky Green and Myron Cohen and those guys. I thought it was a fabulous, fabulous gift that they gave to all of us to be able to, for just that 5 minutes, that 10 minutes, to laugh and just forget anything that was going on bad in our lives. So I thought, gosh, this would be a great thing to do. I had a built-in audience because of the show. I thought, if I'm going to do it, now would be the time to do it. So I did it.
How'd you know that you had something whenever you first went out?
Well, I thought I did, but to be quite honest with you, I found out pretty quickly that I didn't. The first time this is so, 16 years, 18 years later, it's still tough for me to think about this, but the first time I performed was in a place in New Haven, Connecticut. And I'd never gotten up on stage to try this out. I never tried it in 5-minute bits, on open mic nights. I just thought, well, this is funny. I've read it. It's funny. I know it. I'm getting up there. I'm going to do it. You've seen broadcast news. The Albert Brooks flop sweat thing, that's exactly what happened to me. I was soaking wet inside the first 5 minutes. I wasn't funny at all. But people still applauded and laughed, I think more out of shock and commiseration than anything else. So I tucked my tail. I just scratched everything I had. I wrote another 10 minutes altogether different. Went to do I guess it was a fundraiser for breast cancer, I think it was. And just as I got up on set to do my little brand new 10 minutes, Christopher Walken and his wife, Georgianne, walked in and sat down. And I'm a big Chris Walken fan, have been since Deer Hunter. And he sat there, and I, of course, thought, well, I'm going to choke. But I didn't, and I had a really good set. And he laughed and invited me to his table afterwards. Chris and I, to this day, are good friends because of that, I guess.
He's a funny guy.
He's a funny guy. He's a funny guy. And, once that happened, I figured I could really do it. And so I just put my head down and went.
When you're on set, and you deal with some pretty famous people now.
Absolutely.
On a daily basis. There's some very beautiful women. Susan Lucci one, otherwise known as Erica Kane.
Absolutely.
What are they like? Are they just normal, everyday people? You seem like a normal, just everyday person.
I pretty much am. Yeah, I mean, we're people that do soap operas, we're really the blue collar of the entertainment business. We work far longer hours, far harder, for far less money than pretty much anybody else, except for maybe salespeople in local affiliate television.
That's exactly right.
I just want to give you that plug.
Appreciate it.
Give them a raise. Do it now. So we don't really have time to have a lot of airs. We don't have a lot of time off to get too tied up in ourselves. We have a show to learn for the next day, and then if you have a family at all, you've got your kids and your wife and everything else to deal with too. So
You basically get the plot, the lines, everything the evening before, day before?
Well, we get them a few days before
Okay.
that, but I never look at mine much before the night before. I can't keep that much in my head.
I got you. Okay.
Got to get it in and get it out.
Well, we appreciate your time. I know you're about to go on. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Before he took the stage, local radio personality and club MC Harvey from Z105.3 warmed up the crowd with a few jokes about rednecks and birthdays. Then he introduced the headline act. Walt took the stage and held everyone's attention for nearly an hour while he shared some funny stories about his mother and people's reactions to seeing him in public. He then spent the rest of the evening telling jokes about surgery, shopping at Target, messing with people's minds, and children.